Hello, welcome back. Okay, we're now going to start the public hearing portion of the meeting. This is a public hearing before the Boston Redevelopment Authority, doing business as the Boston Planning and Development Agency, being held in conformance with sections 3-1A-A and 80C-6 of the Boston Zoning Code. To consider the First Amendment to the development plan for Plan Development Area Number 52, 1 Brigham Circle, located at 1610 through 1620 Tremont Street in the Mission Hill neighborhood, to allow for clinic and accessory clinic as allowed uses within the PDA area. This hearing was duly advertised on January 27th, 2026. This is a BPDA hearing on a proposed petition by the agency. Staff will first present their case and are subject to questioning by members of the agency. Thereafter, anyone who wishes to testify about the proposed project will be afforded an opportunity. We are taking support and opposition at the same time, so if you're planning to testify via Zoom, please take time now to verify that your computer microphone is active and click on the hand icon on your Zoom control panel. This will signal to the staff that you would like to speak, and when your hand is raised, it will be blue. If you're calling in to the meeting and would like to testify, please dial *9 to raise your hand when I call for all testimony. Staff will announce your name and allow you to talk. You must unmute your microphone and your webcam will not be active. If you're planning to testify in person in the boardroom, please line up behind the podium after the presentation is concluded and we will call on you. In an effort to accommodate all who would like to speak about this proposal, each person will be given up to 2 minutes to comment. BPDA staff will indicate when 30 seconds remain. At that time, please conclude your remarks so that the hearing may continue and others may be heard. Finally, the proponents are allowed a period of 5 to 10 minutes for rebuttal if they desire. The Open Public Meeting Law requires that we ask if there's anyone in the audience who's recording the meeting, and if you're recording this meeting, please identify yourself now. Okay, seeing none. Additionally, please note that demonstrations of approval or disapproval from members of the public are not permitted during the meeting. And Tyler, you can now begin your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Secretary Polimus, and Director Shen. My name is Tyler Ross. I'm a Senior Project Manager in the Development Review Division. The proposal before you is the first amended and restated development plan to PDA number 52, known as 1 Brigham Circle, located at 1610 to 1620 Tremont Street in the neighborhood of Mission Hill. On November 14, 2025, the proponent filed the first amended and restated development plan. The proposed amendment seeks to add clinic and accessory clinic uses within the site, specifically only within 66,700 square feet of the existing floor area on the second and third floors of the original project's main building. The Planning Department hosted one public meeting on January 7, 2026, which was well attended and advertised in the local newspaper. The proponent also worked with local elected officials and community organizations to garner support for the amended and restated development plan to PDA number 52. I'll now turn it over to Andrew to go over the planning context before Joe Hanley from the development team presents. Thank you to the members of the public, elected officials, and city agencies who helped review this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. My name is Andrew Plum. I'm the planner assigned to this project. The proposed project is located in a community commercial district of the Mission Hill Neighborhood Zoning District and is subject to the PDA number 52 zoning overlay. Located at the intersection of Tremont Street and Huntington Ave, the property marks the entryway to the Mission Hill neighborhood from the Longwood Medical Area. The proposed amendment enables clinic uses in space previously designated for offices in the upper stories of the existing mixed-use building. This is consistent with the surrounding area, active commercial uses on the first floor of the building, and allows the proponent additional flexibility due to the decline in demand for office uses since the adoption of the PDA. I will now turn the presentation over to the proponent. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Secretary Polimus, Director Shen, Attorney Joe Hanley, McDermott, Quilty, Miller, and Hanley here representing the proponent, which is AEW. Catherine Jerome's a Senior Vice President and is here with me. I am going to take you through the presentation very briefly. And just to start, on the next slide, please, is the agenda for our presentation, introduce you to our team, talk about the public outreach to support this PDA amendment, and some of the dynamics of this site and the PDA regulatory controls, and of course what we are proposing to do, and some of the elements that we worked really closely with the neighborhood on as part of this proposal. Next slide, please. So I had mentioned AEW. They are the owners of One Brigham Circle. It's the second iteration of ownership. And they have been working with Howard Stein Hudson on the transportation aspects of this proposal, and Shepley Bullfinch as our architects, and of course with our firm in zoning and permitting. And I introduce you to Kat and her colleague Vishwa Shah as well with AEW's put a lot of work into this. Next slide, please. I front-ended this slide because it's, this asset, One Brigham Circle, really is a cherished community-based mixed-use development in Mission Hill. Probably the poster child for that in the city of Boston. And so we thought about this PDA amendment, what we're here for tonight. We went first to the community, to the stewards in the community that were really part of One Brigham Circle before AEW and before it was built, and that was the Mission Hill Neighborhood Housing Services, as well as the Community Alliance of Mission Hill, District City Councilor Durkin, who I believe was here earlier and provided support for this proposal. And we thank them for a lot of time over the last year that was put in on this, and I think you'll see that going forward, and also the support that we've gained from both organizations. Next slide, please. So the existing site overview, if you go to the slide following this, here is One Brigham Circle right at the intersection in the heart of Brigham Circle and Mission Hill. It's the main business district, community commercial district, at the intersection of Tremont, Huntington Ave, and Calumet Street, which goes up the hill, and you'll see the main courtyard that has a lot of activation, and of course the building. What I think is important here too, and you're not seeing, is it's part of a 9.2 acre campus that includes a 5.5 acre park named after Kevin Fitzgerald, which is also a huge and beloved component for open space and programming and get-togethers in the neighborhood. And One Brigham Circle, in partnership with the neighborhood, keeps that going, and it's part of that community-based development, not just the building and not just what's in it, but the people in the neighborhood who make it so special. So next slide, please, shows you sort of before this PDA amendment and what we're proposing. I guess this would be today, not just before, this is now. This is a 4-story building, and on the main level, what you're looking at is the Tremont Street side. There's restaurant use, JP Licks, which is now soon to be Flower Bakery, active retail, and then you can see over to the left, Stop and Shop. So that is a full-size supermarket that is accessed off Calumet Street, which we call, or the folks in the neighborhood call it the neighborhood front of this building. And when One Brigham Circle was conceived in the 90s, a lot of people in this community worked hard to bring a supermarket to a food desert and to bring activation. It was a blighted site. NHS was a big part of that and a partner in that development. And so, as they say, we stand on the shoulders of giants. And so we're really here to talk about some future proofing that we've been working on together. So the next slide will tell you, I guess, the after. This won't be done, but this is what we're proposing to add to the PDA. And you'll see it in the salmon color, right? And that is, right now, AEW has an existing lease with MGB, Mass General Brigham, for offices, professional offices, doctors' offices. That industry has been decimated. There's an exodus. There certainly isn't an expansion of it. That lease expires in 2028. AEW does not know whether they will renew, but we do know is if we don't prepare for something, we're going to have a significant amount of vacant space that for a really important anchor in the neighborhood. And so we asked the folks in the community to work with us on seeing about changing use category in the PDA to allow for an amount of clinic space, and that's what you're seeing here. So proposing 10,000 square feet on that second level plan left, and then 38,300 and another 18.4, so around 67,000 square feet. Not in total, there's still office space, but we think that provides for some flexibility. We don't have a user yet, that's why we're in Article 80C. This case is merely to amend the existing PDA, its table of uses, to allow 67,000 square feet of clinic and accessory clinic in the space in Salmon, so that it's an option for us to continue to work through the market and we don't have vacant space in the future. We do know 2028 may sound a little far off. It's only a couple of years. And we do know that in the institutional and hospital world that 2 years is exactly how far out they plan for these things. So there is some urgency, and that's why we're here, and that's why we're so grateful for the people in the neighborhood and the groups that have come together and helped us bring this to fruition. Next slide, please. So the PDA regulatory controls on the next slide will show you plan development number 52. This was approved by the VRA in 2001. One Brigham Circle was delivered in 2003. There's been no amendments since, hence for the First Amendment. And as I said, Exhibit C to the current PDA is the table of uses, which does not include clinic, and we're looking to add that just in that specific manner for a potential future use. 348 total parking spaces that exist today and won't change. It's in a mix of surface parking, which is off Calumet Street. Again, that accesses the Stop and Shop and some of the other uses and integrates into the neighborhood with the Kevin Fitz Park next to it. And there will be no changes to that or other parts. Next slide. So I'm going to go real quickly through this because this is a little bit conceptual, but it's also something that we worked out with the community, right? There was concern or input and strong guidance in the neighborhood about, okay, if someone does want to take advantage of this use, and if over 50,000, they have to come back for Article 80B with you. But we want to make sure that the main concerns are thought about up front. And big components of this is how mobility works. We do know if we add clinic, it probably has a little more traffic than offices, right? Certainly vacant offices. And how can we improve on that? So we tasked Howard Stein Hudson to look at really directing, the neighborhood asked us to really direct a lot of the both foot, vehicular, and mobility traffic towards Tremont Street and away from the neighborhood. And so you'll see here concepts for ride share, drop off, and the like. Next slide kind of brings us a little more into some of the other issues that we addressed. The existing parking that I spoke to you about as surface parking, and then 2 levels of underground garage parking, access both on Tremont Street today and on Calumet. And so it was important for the community that we come up with a plan so that we could direct folks who are driving coming to the clinic would come in through Tremont Street and out Calumet Street towards Brigham Circle. And if you know the neighborhood, what that means is it keeps the cars from going up Calumet Street and into the residential aspect of the neighborhood, which is really important. So you're seeing some of these provisions and concepts as to how we work this out together. And you can see in this slide, in the gray hash, the areas on the second level and above that would have direct access from the parking garage. We'll have a tray of parking that's dedicated just for clinic so that folks aren't going in the building and getting lost and they know where to go. So we spent a lot of time on that together. Next slide shows you how that works on the upper levels. So again, not everyone is going to be coming by vehicle, but there will be, right? And we have accommodation, and it was also important that we don't rely on the surface lot on Calumet because that's important for the neighborhood and for the active uses up there like Walgreens and the Stop and Shop. And so this all kind of comes together, and I will say that we were able to get to an agreement with NHS and conditions in real detail with the community, and you'll probably see that in the support letters, and should we have hear from them tonight as well. Next slide. Just shows you how this comes together in the floor plates. And again, as I talked about, wayfinding within the building, right? So we know that if we're fortunate enough to have a tenant that wants to utilize all of this clinic space, we'll be back to discuss this. But this idea was to make sure we had the sense of the neighborhood concerns integrated into that framework as we hopefully proceed to amend the PDA in its table of use to just allow that clinic in that limited amount of space. Next slide, please. So that brings us to fruition. I know you saw this big piece. Obviously, the jobs are created today. We aren't building yet, right? This is to change that use as an opportunity and to prevent against the vacancy. Obviously, I talked about the second piece. The community is a huge driver here. I mean, I can't state enough how important, for those of us who remember what Brigham Circle was in the 90s and what it has become through One Brigham and all the neighborhood leadership. It's really a fantastic ecosystem and an opportunity for our client to be a part of. And of course, sustainability and other elements that AEW is very committed to. We look forward to continuing that discussion as we hopefully have the opportunity to fill the building. So thank you.
Thank you. Does that conclude the presentation? All right, this is a public hearing, and we're now taking public testimony. So if you'd like to testify in person, please step up to the podium and announce your name, affiliation, your position on the proposed project when you are called to speak. And if you are on Zoom and would like to testify, please raise your virtual hand.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Director Sheng, Mina Perez. I am the Executive Director for the Carpenter Labor Management. I'm here on behalf of thousands of union carpenters that live and work throughout the city of Boston to speak in favor of this project. This project, if I remember correctly, was originally built by Demio Construction, one of the best general contractors there is. Many carpenters participated in this building this project. So therefore, we look forward to being back there again. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Daniel Daly. I'm a lifelong Boston resident, and I represent the men and women of the Local 103 Electricians Union. People travel from all over the world for world-class healthcare right in Brigham Circle and in the whole medical area, and doing God's work truly there. So I stand in support of this project and the jobs that it will bring for members of Local 103. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Tom Ward, a member of Local 7 of the Ironworkers, lifelong Boston resident. I know the area well. I'd like to thank the proponents for doing the work, the hard work, and I rise in favor. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to take
Okay.
online. Pat Flaherty, you can unmute yourself. Pat, you need to unmute yourself.
Whoops, thank you. Thank you to the board. My name is Pat Flaherty, and I am a resident of Calumet Street, and I'm also the Executive Director of Mission Hill Neighborhood Housing Services. Mission Hill NHS is in strong support of the proposed First Amendment to the PDA number 52 at One Brigham Circle to add clinical use as an allowed use up to 66,700 square feet on the second and third floors, but not on the ground floor, and excluding narcotic, drug, or alcohol treatment center at this location. I wanted to say that the staff and board of Mission Hill Neighborhood Housing Services has met several times with the proponent about this much needed modification. We have attended and participated in several community-wide meetings, and we have executed an MOU with the proponent, as Joe indicated, to ensure that the concerns raised about the proposed amendment have been heard and the impacts will continue to be mitigated. Mission Hill NHS is a community-based nonprofit development corporation, and we ran the original multi-year participatory planning process that resulted in Mission Hill's the community's vision for One Brigham Circle and the adjacent Kevin W. Fitzgerald Park. We were actively involved in the purchase of the site from Harvard University, Harvard Medical School. We ultimately put together the development and equity partnership that included Mission Hill on the original development and ownership team. And although One Brigham Circle was sold 15 years ago, Mission Hill NHS continues to have our office spaces here at this location. We continue to be co-owners of Fitzgerald Park, and we continue to work really closely with AEW, who we consider the new owners of One Brigham Circle, and they've been here for 15 years. Mission Hill NHS still sees ourselves as keepers of the community vision. We're especially concerned that the retail component stays vibrant, our grocery store stays open, our pharmacy, our neighborhood serving retail, and we believe the proposed amendment to the PDA is critical to the long-term viability of not only One Brigham Circle, but the entire commercial center in Brigham Circle. From the very early planning process, it was clear that a mixed use, including office space, was necessary to serve as an economic engine for retail to be located at One Brigham Circle and to provide positive economic fallout for the surrounding commercial area on Huntington and Tremont Street. And for years, that's what happened. When Brigham and Women's non-patient serving office space was here, there was a hustle and bustle of pedestrian activity to the area as workers, doctors, visitors crossed Brigham Circle, came here to shop, ate in our restaurants, utilized our retail. And all of this changed in the post-pandemic world when office space emptied out. That's true of the city of Boston, and it's true at One Brigham Circle. From our vantage point in our own offices here, we have seen the impact of empty and underutilized office space above us, fewer pedestrians, different and less diverse shoppers, fewer people crossing back and forth.
Pat, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you've gone way past your two-minute time.
I apologize. I was going to get a warning and I didn't see it. Just want to say that as the original developers and the keepers of the community vision, we know that this change in use is critical to the vitality of our retail center in Mission Hill, and we urge you to support.
Thank you. Shaitan Green, you can unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shaitan Green. I'm a lifelong Boston resident, also a business agent with the Boston Building Trade Unions. We represent thousands, tens of thousands of members who live and work right here in this area. I went to the elementary school up the street, the Farragut Elementary School. And as a union member, I also worked in a lot of the hospitals, whether building or servicing right in the area. We support this development. As was mentioned earlier, this was built all union over 20 years ago. And I can only imagine, the workers that worked on that project, working for a responsible contractor, what those benefits were, able to buy a house in the area, support their families. And it's good to see that, developers are holding that same responsibility to this day. So as the building trades, we support this project. We believe it supports economic development for not only, for residents, but also resident workers in the community. And for that, we highly support this project. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shaitan. Martin Beinborn, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Martin Beinborn. I'm the president of the Community Alliance of Mission Hill, the local civic association of Mission Hill residents. Our group has met twice with the applicants for One Brigham Circle to discuss their proposal to add new healthcare clinical space in the existing building as presented. We came up with a number of stipulations that have been mentioned before, including precluded uses for addiction treatment, security measures, parking and traffic, and the garage management. And in the end, we voted in strong support of the proposal with no opposing vote. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to testify this project, either on Zoom or here in the boardroom? Madam Chair, this concludes the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to board members. Do you have any questions or comments?
Through the chair. For me, One Brigham is like the gateway to Mission Hill. My second job as a young apprentice was actually constructing this with Demio, so it definitely means a lot to me. But how quick times changes, because if I'm not mistaken, maybe 6 years ago, they renovated the office spaces on the second and third floor as well. But I'm glad to see that, the proponents are gonna try to put this to use and get this out on the market and keep this vibrant area going. It cannot be empty spaces at One Brigham, so I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
The current businesses will continue to function while this is in process?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank
All the retail, yeah.
Can you go up to the microphone, please?
Yes, that's correct. All of the existing retail spaces will continue operating as is. This discussion is more just for the existing office space on floors 2, 3, and 4.
So Stop and Shop will not be disturbed?
Correct.
I shop there.
And hopefully we'll have more customers.
Yeah, I would just echo, I think many of us have an affinity for One Brigham Circle, and I didn't realize that flour was coming into JP Lick, so that's good news for the neighborhood and bad news for my diet, but nevertheless, this is great. And thank you, Joe, and your team to always engage with the community. That's a very, very special part of our city, between Mission Main and Mission Park, and just some wonderful neighbors who literally live across the street or next to it, to be able to have access to what I'm sure will be high-quality healthcare and a health clinic is just wonderful. So I know that engagement will continue as things get built out. There isn't a tenant yet, you said, but obviously conversations are happening. I would venture a guess there may be some partnership with one of the area hospitals, so I would just say in some capacity, I'm not looking to put you on the spot, but with some of the garage parking they have, perhaps there could be a good opportunity for staff to have some dedicated spots or something, because obviously there will be a lot more parking than just with office space, so yeah, hope that happens.
Great. Any additional questions or comments? All right, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Okay, next item.
Madam Chair, I will have to recuse myself.
Okay, that's great. Oh, fine. Okay, this is a public hearing before the Boston Redevelopment Authority, doing business as a Boston Planning and Development Agency, being held in conformance with Articles 80A-2 and 80D-5 of the Boston Zoning Code, to issue an adequacy determination pursuant to Article 80D of the Boston Zoning Code, approving the First Amendment to the Wentworth Institute of Technology 2024 through 2023 Institutional Master Plan. And to petition the Boston Zoning Commission for the approval of the proposed First Amendment and the associated map amendment, and issue a preliminary adequacy determination waiving the requirements of further review in connection with the draft impact report for the Pike Residence Hall project filed by Wentworth Institute of Technology on November 1st, 2025, and to take all related actions. This hearing was duly advertised on January 27th, 2026. This is a BPDA hearing on a proposed petition by the agency. Staff members will first present their case and are subject to questioning by members of the agency. Thereafter, anyone who wishes to testify about the proposed project will be afforded an opportunity, and we are taking support and opposition at the same time. If you're planning to testify via Zoom, please take time now to verify that your computer microphone is active and click on the hand icon on your Zoom control panel. This will signify to the staff that you would like to speak. When your virtual hand is raised, it will be blue. If you're calling into the meeting and would like to testify, please dial *9 to raise your hand. When I call for all testimony, staff will announce your name and allow you to talk. You must unmute your microphone and your webcam will not be active. If you're planning to testify in person in the boardroom, please line up behind the podium after the presentation is concluded and we will call on you. In an effort to accommodate all who would like to speak about this proposal, each person will be given up to 2 minutes to comment. BPDA staff will indicate when 30 seconds remain, and at that time, please kindly conclude your remarks so that the hearing may continue and others may be heard. Finally, the proponents are allowed a period of 5 to 10 minutes for rebuttal if they desire. The open public meeting law requires that we ask if there is anyone in the audience who's recording this meeting. If you are recording this meeting, please identify yourself now. Okay, seeing none. And also please note that no demonstrations of approval or disapproval from members of the public are permitted during the meeting. So Nick, you can now begin your presentation.
Thank you and good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Secretary Perlimus. I'm here before you to present the First Amendment to Wentworth Institute of Technology's 2024 to 2034 Institutional Master Plan and the first project within the IMP, the Pike Residence Hall. The First Amendment to Wentworth's IMP represents a significant enhancement to the vision approved last year. The amendment proposes strategic changes to 3 of the proposed institutional projects outlined in the 2024 IMP, namely the Pike Residence Hall, the West Quad Academic Building, now the West Quad Residence Hall, and the Huntington Dorm, now the Huntington Academic Building. These adjustments will add approximately 1,822 net new student housing beds to Wentworth's permanent on-campus housing inventory, an increase of approximately 500 beds compared to the original 2024 IMP. This significant expansion will enable Wentworth to house approximately 75 to 85% of its students on campus at the end of the 10-year IMP cycle, up from approximately 55% today. This IMP will also allow Wentworth to provide significantly more beds on campus sooner than anticipated in the original IMP, giving Wentworth the ability to house students on campus while building new housing or renovating existing housing, improving public realm, creating a residential cluster in the center of campus, and the opportunity to build a signature academic building on Huntington Avenue. The Pike Residence Hall before you for approval tonight represents the first project to move forward under this IMP. Replacing a surface parking lot and eliminating approximately 181 parking spaces, the new dorm will provide 972 student beds, unlocking additional development potential for Wentworth and eventually housing the entire first-year class. The dorm will also provide new ground floor amenities, including dining facilities, student life facilities, and a new signature courtyard that will be programmed to showcase student work on campus. The proposed project includes significant upgrades to existing public realm, as well as new pedestrian connectivity. The People's Pike, an important east-west pedestrian connection that connects Wentworth campus to Mass Art, Huntington Ave, and Parker Street, will be improved with the project, making it more active, accessible, and welcoming throughout all 4 seasons. The Pike Residence Hall will also create a new north-south pedestrian corridor, a 20 to 36-foot wide pedestrian pathway connecting Ruggles Street to the Pike, greatly enhancing connectivity for both Wentworth community and the broader neighborhood. Wentworth will also be providing significant dollars towards the upgrade and design of Ruggles Street, which will include a new bus shelter and improved pedestrian experience on Ruggles Street. This work will total approximately $1 million. The First Amendment to Wentworth's Institutional Master Plan and Pike Residence Hall represents a bold vision for the future, one that prioritizes student success, environmental sustainability, and neighborhood connectivity by housing more students on campus and reducing pressure on Boston's rental housing market, eliminating parking and investing in public transit, and creating new open spaces and pedestrian connections. Before I turn to Alana Hames from Planning and the Wentworth team, I want to mention that this project also represents a success for the new review process. Utilizing our new tools, the review staff were able to deliver timely feedback, reviewing the project in just 6 months, allowing Wentworth to begin construction this year. Thank you, and Alana will now take you through the planning context.
Thanks, Nick. Good evening, Chair Rojas, Director Shen, Secretary Polimis, members of the board. My name is Ilana Hames, and I'm the planner assigned to this project. As Nick mentioned, this IMP makes changes to 3 of the 6 approved PIPs and seeks Article 80B approval for 1 of the amended projects. We'll stay on this slide. The proposed IMP amendment continues to align with existing citywide planning initiatives. Other changes to the IMP through the amendment include the continued development of an open space framework, a strong civic identity, and an inclusive campus. The Wentworth campus forms an important connection between the Emerald Necklace Park system and the Southwest Corridor. The proposed front lawn from the approved IMP and the redesign of the Pike in this amendment work towards the goal of connecting the Emerald Necklace to other systems as outlined in the city's 2023 to 2029 Open Space and Recreation Plan. Changes to the Pike Residence Hall Also better support the Avenue of the Arts design guidelines for Huntington Avenue through setbacks from the public realm. Changes to the PIPs, including the iterations on the Pike Residence Hall, have resulted in an increase in sunlight hours to the open spaces on campus and less than 2 hours maximum shadow per day on the opposite sidewalk, key goals of those design guidelines. The IMP continues to align with other citywide plans, such as Housing a Changing City, Boston 2030, through the amendment, which nets by netting an additional approximately 500 student beds, as Nick also mentioned, compared to the approved IMP. Tying into the goal of creating 16,000 new undergraduate dorm beds for Boston colleges and universities by 2030. Projects completed under this IMP, including the Pike Residence Hall, will continue to undergo post-board design review at the Planning Department, during which process staff will continue to address wind mitigation, programming and planting of open space for year-round use, and transportation elements. Thank you, and I will turn it over to the development team to present in more detail.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. We're so happy to be here. I want to start. My name is Matt Gruber. I am the SVP for Finance and Administration at Wentworth. I just want to start by thanking our community partners, particularly our Wentworth Task Force, for their input and continued partnership as we work to improve both Wentworth and the community that we are proud to be a part of. I want to send a special thank you to the city planning staff and other members of city staff. Given the time frame that we were under and the effort that we made to work together, it was a real collaborative approach. And I think, as Nick mentioned, a demonstration of what Article 80 modernization and real partnership amongst institutions and the city can provide. We're super excited to provide some additional information about our institutional master plan amendment, as well as the new dorm project. The new project will unlock, and the new IMP will unlock enormous opportunities for Wentworth, including the addition of 972 beds in roughly 2 years, which will allow us to house our first-year class. Our students retain and persist better when they live on campus. We can create additional amenities for us and for the community, including the changes to open realm, public realm, and open space. And so I would just like to say thank you to everyone, and I will turn it over to Matt Pierce, who is our design lead for the project.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Good evening, members of the board. I wanted to first start echoing some of Matt's comments. I think we had a really fruitful collaboration both with planning staff and with the Civic Design Commission, which both together I think brought really diverse perspectives to bear on the project and their different expertise to get us to a result that I think allows this project, both of these projects, to reach their greatest potential as contributions to the urban fabric of the city. So we'll first start off with the IMP amendment and then move on to the large project review. The area indicated in the blue outline on the plan on the screen is the limitation of the amendment to the master plan, which affects, as Nick explained, about 3 buildings within the larger campus master plan. Next slide. On the left-hand side is the plan from 2024. The right-hand side, the proposed IMP amendment. And as Nick described, on the left-hand side on the 2024 plan slide, that building on Huntington Avenue at that time was seen as a residential building, and the academic building was to the right on the quad, and the Pike Residence Hall to the south. And one of the major changes with the IMP amendment is the switch to an academic use on Huntington Avenue, which provides Wentworth a great presence on the Avenue of the Arts, and I think is very appropriate to the way that the other important institutions, both educational and in the arts, also engage with the Avenue. That also triggered a change to the landscape design, and looking back at all the recorded meetings from the process reviewing the 2024 IMP, there were some parts of the landscape design that still merited further improvement, so we feel like we're in reconfiguring these 2 buildings and also the larger footprint of the new Pike Residence Hall. We're able to also address some of those reservations about the landscape design and really improve that through this process as well. Next slide. In the 2024 master plan, there was a landscape framework that was established that established 4 different types of outdoor spaces that were part of a palette of landscape within the Wentworth campus, and that framework still holds true in the amendment to the IMP. The parts that are affected by the amendment are shown in blue on the left where it says recharge. And that was a place where there was, in the 2024, one larger open space that sort of connected to the Pike, but then wrapped around the north side of the Pike Residence Hall, and that has been broken into two spaces for recharge and for relaxation that are now both connected to the pedestrian Pike and get great solar access as well. Next slide. This is a section cutting through that Pike looking to the north, and it really shows how we've organized and with a lot of work together with the planning staff and the BCDC, the organization of this ensemble of buildings on the skyline, and also the kind of cadence of alternating open space building in a way that's going to create a really exciting pedestrian experience along this important pedestrian connector. And as I mentioned, on either side of the Pike Residence Hall, taking what was once an open space that wrapped around to the north side of the building, was largely in shade, turning that into two spaces that connect directly to the pedestrian Pike, bring activity to the Pike, and also get great solar access as well. Next. This is a ground floor plan of the amendment to the IMP. In purple are shown spaces on the ground floor that are academic uses. The orange spaces are student commons or student lounge spaces, social spaces on the ground floor that will really activate the landscape. And the salmon colored space is the dining on the ground floor, which will be open to the broader academic community. And I think two really important aspects on this macro scale plan to point out was, again, the work on really activating the Pike, figuring out how the best to interface between those new open spaces in the Pike and also between the building and the Pike to create a nice zone to transition from the space of sort of the thoroughfare, the movement, the walking portion of the Pike to creating these transition zones for people to hang out, activate the entries to the building. And also the improvement to the north-south connection between Ruggles Street and the Pike, which is much more clear now than I think what was shown in the 2024 IMP, and really successfully orchestrates the interaction between pedestrians in a real pedestrian-first environment, and manages the interactions with vehicles, greatly reduces the number of cars that on the surface of the site and also that were entering the site. The 2024 IMP had an underground garage with a capacity of, I believe, 180 cars. Now there are 17 surface parking spaces. So where we're bringing pedestrians through the site, there's a great reduction in the amount of vehicular traffic. And then a lot of coordination in minimizing the amount of loading area and really sequestering that off so that it doesn't interfere with the enjoyment of the open space to the south and also to the pedestrian movements between Ruggles and the Pike. Next. If we zoom in, you can see the ground floor, the pink areas inside of the building are those student spaces, the dining on the left-hand side, the student commons on the right-hand side. And we worked really closely, again, with staff and the BCDC to create a strong relationship between those interior uses and those interior activities and the outdoor spaces, the landscape spaces that they are the backdrop for. So there's a courtyard on the left-hand side between the Pike Residence Hall and the Mass Art Treehouse. There will be a very flexible open space. It has a permeable stone surface that is very flexible for furniture layout for that supporting outdoor dining in conjunction with the dining hall. It also is a place that people are passing through as well from Huntington Avenue through to the Pike. Then on the right-hand side, a complementary courtyard with a lawn adjacent to the Pike. And both of those spaces were really studied carefully in terms of the environmental conditions and the shadows that will be cast by the buildings to position the tree canopies to the north end of those spaces where there will be more shadow from the buildings, and then pulling back the tree canopy at the south side where you get more solar access. And again, really creating a zone of interaction along between the Pike and the Pike Residence Hall and those courtyards. Next. Next slide. There we go. And this is the same plan in phase one at the time of the completion of the Pike Residence Hall before the Huntington Academic Building comes online and the Quad Residence Hall. So same courtyard to the left, that is the part of phase one, and that north-south connection, importantly too, will be part of that first phase and is basically designed to create a great pedestrian connection, both in this first phase with those existing buildings to the right and in the future phases when there's an open space, a courtyard to the right, and also the Quad Residence Hall. Next. Looking at the massing of the buildings, this was something that also we looked at quite carefully and discovered the relationship is pretty consistent throughout throughout the length of Huntington Avenue, where that diagonal cuts through against the grid of the neighborhoods. And generally what happens is the buildings that are set back from Huntington Avenue fall into that city grid, the neighborhood grid, which is what we have done with these buildings, which all essentially are long linear buildings that are parallel with the Mass Art Treehouse, and you get the sort of alternating building and open space, but also they kind of slide back and forth north and south relative to one another to create a really lively skyline. We worked quite a bit also with planning staff on the heights of the Pike Residence Hall, which has two wings that sort of break down the scale of the building, and accentuating the different heights between those to create some hierarchy on the skyline. And finally, the Huntington Avenue academic building, the upper tower will align with the neighborhood grid and the Mass Art Treehouse, while the base, the lower 80 feet of the building will align with Huntington Avenue and reinforce the street edge in a way that's consistent with the Avenue of the Arts guidelines. Next. Two views looking both east and west on Huntington Avenue, and you can see where the Pike Residence Hall becomes parallel with the face of the Mass Art Treehouse. And on the right-hand slide, looking south, the variation in height of that Pike Residence Hall that creates a little negative space on the skyline and some hierarchy between the future academic building and the Residence Hall. Next. And views from the south. Looking to the north from Ward Street, the view on the right-hand side, I think, really illustrates well that relationship between the parallel towers with Mass Art Treehouse on the left-hand side, the academic building in the center, and then the two layered Pike Residence Hall to the right. Next. So that concludes the amendment to the IMP, and now we'll move on to the large project review for the Pike Residence Hall. Excuse me. And a few highlights, I think some others have mentioned a few of these. 972 student beds in this building, which is up from 400 in the original IMP. And that really, the reason for that was a goal of housing the entire first year class in one kind of foundational experience. So they all get the same experience, that relationship building that will help them make connections that help with their student success throughout their academic career at Wentworth. That Pike Residence Hall includes a campus dining on the ground floor, open to the larger academic community, an admission center, student lounges on all floors, including the ground floor, all floors of the building, and the top floor, ground floor bicycle room, a substantial reduction in the number of parking spaces, a reduction of 181 spaces on site, and along with that, a reduction in impervious surface between the new building obviously being pervious, but the courtyard space being a pervious surface. And finally, the improvements to the pedestrian connections both along the Pike and between Ruggles and the Pike. Next. We have a few ground level views walking around the public realm around the building, and this is a view from that courtyard on the west-hand side. Between the treehouse would be off the screen to your left. And in the foreground here, or the building in the foreground, that's the two-story dining pavilion. It's very transparent. The entry is off of this courtyard to really activate, bring people through the courtyard and activate that space. And there's a sort of a warm base to the building in the curtain wall mullions that weaves its way up through the precast concrete facade as you move up through the building. Then this is where we also have that pervious stone surface that's very flexible and allows for flexibility in arrangement of seating, and also, I think as Matt mentioned or Nick mentioned earlier, a place for displaying student work within the courtyard. Next. As we move around to the Pike, the dining is on the left-hand side, the student ground floor commons is on the right-hand side, and this is where we really spent a lot of time trying to calibrate the right relationship between the frontage of the building on the Pike and the kind of thoroughfare of where people are walking on the Pike, which is such an active space, and created this interstitial zone. So it's really the front porch of the residence hall where people can stop and engage, see their friends coming by, and that can become a really active edge along this Pike. Next. And looking back towards Huntington Avenue, again with that interstitial zone between the kind of walking zone on the left-hand side, the planted and bench seating zone in the center, and then that two-story student commons to the right. Next. If we swing around to, this is the future east open space, the east courtyard. This is where the two-story pavilion for the student commons on the ground floor is very transparent, looks out onto that space, has the second floor admission space that also looks out. So it would be a great reciprocal relationship between the interior activity of the space and the future courtyard and lawn. Next. Then in this view, looking north towards Ruggles Street, this is that pedestrian connection that we think is very clear and really pedestrian focused and prioritizes the pedestrian experience. Minimum 20 feet wide. On the left-hand side, you see the activation of the student commons through the glass. Next. The overall plan, similar to what was in the IMP, or same as what was in the IMP, again, accentuating in this first phase where those existing buildings remain. We do still have that north-south connection in the first phase between Ruggles and the Pike. Next. And zooming in on the relationship between those interior spaces and the landscape in the first phase before the future West Quad residential building. Next. And then the materiality that, of the campus that informed the design of the residence hall, some of the more neutral tones of the more modern buildings combined with the warmth of some of the historic buildings on the campus. Next. That weave together to create this combination of a very textural and finely crafted facade that we think is representative of the unique culture of Wentworth in making and construction and an emblematic identity for them on the skyline. Next. A view looking west on Huntington Avenue. Sweeney Field is to your left, Mass Art is in the center. Next. And finally, looking back towards Huntington Avenue from the Pike. Next. So in summary, a few of the major benefits of both the IMP amendment and the Pike Residence Hall. Again, the creation of nearly 1,000 student beds, which will free up capacity, residential capacity within the neighborhood. The contribution to students, the contribution to student success with this holistic first-year experience for all the students. The shift in location of the academic building to Huntington Avenue, creating that great academic presence on the Avenue of the Arts, and the improvement to those south-facing open spaces connecting to the Pike and activating it. And finally, the improvement of the connectivity of the public realm, both within the campus and as it reaches out to the colleges of the Fenway and beyond. And that concludes our presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you. As this is a public hearing, we're now going to take public testimony. So if you'd like to testify in person, please step up to the podium and announce your name, affiliation, and your position on the proposed project. And if you are on Zoom and would like to testify, please raise your virtual hand now. So,
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Director Shane, Mina Perez, Executive Director for the Carpenters Labor Management Program. Once again, thank you for all the hard work you do in helping moving the development in the city forward. It is with great pleasure I'm here representing thousands of my members and dozens of general contractors and subcontractors that built the city of Boston to support this great institution. Our members have joined work opportunities at Wentworth, and thank you for hiring responsible employers all the time. But also we participate in continuing education programs where many of our members have obtained their bachelor's, several of them their master's, and Wentworth has shown to be a true partnership of the community. Because of that, we are here with pleasure to support this project. And I will take a minute to say thanks to the Office of Mayor Wu for allowing the community to be part of the process. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Daniel Daly, lifelong Boston resident. I just want to say the young minds that are getting nourished at the Wentworth Institute, a wonderful place, will go on to shape and design and build the city of Boston's future. So to reflect what Mina said, my local union 103 has a partnership with the Wentworth Institute that gives young electricians and old electricians pathways to get electrical engineering degrees at a very affordable price. They've been a great partner with the city of Boston for my whole lifetime, so I strongly support this project and appreciate this process. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Tom Ward, lifelong Boston resident. I obtained a welding degree a long time ago at Wentworth. They've always built everything good down there. Good means union, and good union jobs support a family, pay a mortgage, pay your taxes. I'd like to thank the group, and I rise in favor. Thank you.
Tom Yardley, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, members of the board, Madam Chair and Secretary Polimis. My name's Tom Yardley. I'm Vice President of Area Planning and Development for Longwood Collective. We're a nonprofit representing 22 members in the Longwood medical and academic area, including the proponent. Thanks for the presentation. We're here to express our strong support for the project under the Institutional Master Plan Amendment. This includes the Pike Residence Hall, which, as has been explained, will allow first-year class to be accommodated on campus and relieve pressure on neighborhood housing by reducing student housing demand off campus. We note that under the amended IMP, these changes are relatively minor. The proposed plan is very transformational to the campus, and I think it will be a great addition to the neighborhood. The replacement of the previously proposed student residence hall with the Huntington Academic Building will create a presence on Huntington Avenue and help enliven the street level. I think that's a very good move. The elimination of the underground parking will reduce conflicts with this heavily pedestrianized area, especially on Ruggles Street, which is a heavily traveled gateway into Longwood, and restricting vehicles to a right turn only helps mitigate some of the congestion challenges that can happen in the neighborhood. We urge the board to approve the project as currently proposed. Since the earlier draft of the IMP was filed some time ago, the development climate has become very challenging. Despite these difficulties, we congratulate city planning staff and Wentworth and its team to finding a path forward that meets the IMP goals and mitigates impacts to local housing. Wentworth is a long trusted partner and neighbor to Mission Hill residents, providing scholarships, merit-based aid, and running the Boston Pipeline Careers Initiative, amongst many other great neighborhood sort of contributions. So thank you for the opportunity to comment, and we're excited to see this project move forward.
Thank you. Pat Flaherty, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you. My name is Pat Flaherty, and I'm a resident of Mission Hill, and I'm the Executive Director of Mission Hill Neighborhood Housing Services. I have represented Mission Hill NHS on the Wentworth Task Force for many years now, and we would like to go on record in strong support of the IMP amendment and the Pike Dorm project. The IMP amendment really demonstrates the commitment of Wentworth to the City of Boston and the Mission Hill community, of its commitment to on-campus housing and moving students out of our residential family housing. We commend Wentworth for modifying the IMP to put forth as its first project such a large on-campus student housing development, replacing a 400-bed dorm with a 972-bed dorm core to its campus. This is very important to the Mission Hill community, and hopefully at some point we will be taking back housing for families again on Mission Hill. We truly appreciate Wentworth's partnership with the Mission Hill neighborhood and its willingness to take time to listen to its abutters, to understand its neighbors' concerns and needs, and to go back to the drawing board when necessary. It's a true iterative process with the community. And Mission Hill NHS would like to urge you to support the Wentworth Institutional Master Plan Amendment and the 972-bed Pike Dorm project. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Pat. Shaitan Green, you can unmute yourself.
Hey, good evening. Thank you, members of the board, Madam Chair. Appreciate the facilitation of these highly important meetings and for community voice and worker voices to just be heard. I'm a lifelong Boston resident, agent with the building trades, and we represent tens of thousands of members and their families who live and work right here in the area. I think it's important that when we talk about economic development, that we mention apprenticeships, right? Apprenticeships ensure that, especially union apprenticeships ensure that workers have a voice on the job, but also have access to training. They also have access to healthcare and retirement benefits, right? And as a young worker, sometimes you may not know these opportunities exist to you, but what responsible partners and contractors such as Wentworth, the community can benefit hugely to the development that's going on. as well as, not everyone is going to be a college student, although there are still opportunities for workers to still have pathways into colleges like Wentworth. But we just need good opportunities that give you the confidence to think about, buying a house, raising a family, things of that nature. So we are in full support of this project, the IMP amendment, as well as the large project review. And we just look forward to the continued great work that's going to happen through this partnership. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shaitan. Is there anybody either on Zoom or in the boardroom who would like to testify about this project? Madam Chair, this concludes the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to board members. Any questions or comments from the board?
Through the chair, I'll be brief. Quick question for the height. How tall is the building? Stories or feet, whatever?
Don't remember if you call it, what's the exact height in the end?
Or how many stories?
202 feet.
202 feet. About 18, okay, 18, 19 stories, well, 18. That's cool, that's good. I think the Pike Building, it's a beautiful building. And, I've definitely heard from you and I've heard from people speaking that the Mission Hill Fenway area, it's great to see some relief, so families have an opportunity to stay or come back to the Mission Hill area. I love what all the colleges are doing in the area, getting the students into dorms. So I appreciate your thoughtfulness in the construction as well. Responsible contractors is always my plight, so thank you very much. Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay. Additional questions or comments?
Madam Chair, just briefly, first of all, congratulations to Wentworth on what seems like a really thoughtful process. It's great to see when the proponents' goals and the community's goals and the city's goals all are the same. And so just appreciation for all of the extra dorm beds. That's a significant addition to the inventory, not only at Wentworth, but throughout the city. And I just, my experience is Wentworth does a really nice job with the community, and so they should be commended for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Additional questions or comments? I too don't want to be repetitive, but just echo the gratitude for prioritizing the housing first and that connector first as being your priorities in this IMP. We really appreciate that. And yes, when all of our goals are aligned, it's really great. And again, appreciate your partnership with organizations like our union groups and other initiatives that you have with residents of Boston. Really appreciate that. So
Through the chair, one, I have to say too, I grew up in the area, and I still, when I'm mostly coming back to Mission Hill, it's usually something that Wentworth is holding. Last time I was there, not that long ago, was a youth build graduation.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys do a ton of things for the neighborhood, as everyone said, so I just want to make sure I said that. And I'll please continue doing what you guys are doing.
All right, if there are no other questions or comments, I believe a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion passes. Congratulations, good luck, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll let people clear out. And that was the final item on the agenda before the director's remarks. So. All right, thanks, everyone. Okay, Director Shen, the floor is yours.
Members of the board, I want to start my report by just saying how excited we are here. How excited we are about the launching of the Planning Academy that you got a presentation on. we're hoping that this program is not only going to be educational, but also a fun and interactive learning experience for our residents so that they can become more involved and informed in our planning and zoning processes, and then become effective advocates for what they want to see in their neighborhoods. The application is, of course, live, and you heard today that we have more than 60 applicants already for a cohort of about 25. And we are looking forward to identifying the first cohort and establishing this as a way of supporting our residents and gaining the tools, knowledge, and confidence to have a voice in planning the future of our city. I have to recognize in particular Diana Fernandez and her team, and Caroline, in actually really working through the curriculum. Actually 8 meetings to try to do a introduction to planning and development is really a great challenge. We just had the very successful public hearing on Wentworth tonight to advance the amendment to the institutional master plan. The amendment includes a larger reimagined residence hall that will deliver 572 rooms more than the original master plan. So it will deliver just under 1,000 new rooms in a single building, more beds that were originally envisioned. And this, of course, will further alleviate some of the burden of students on existing housing stock in the Fenway and Mission Hill area, and reduce the number of students from Wentworth living off campus. As part of the amendment, Wentworth has also agreed to improve the current east-west pedestrian path known as the People's Pike, and connecting it to other Longwood institutions in the area. There was also a new north-south connector connecting Ruggles Streets to the Pike that will strengthen access to public transportation on Ruggles Streets and the Ruggles Station. This, by the way, I think it was sort of mentioned, but is really the first institutional master plan that underwent the modernized Article 80C process. And it was actually, I think, the shortest institutional master plan amendment that we've done in a while. And a showcase of the success that we've been having in sort of streamlining our processes. The board approved 2 certificates of completion tonight. The first project is Parcel 12, which is the air rights development at the Back Bay, right at the intersection of Boylston Street and Newbury Street and Mass Ave. Some people think of it as the Car Guru building. In addition to the beautiful Air Rights Plaza, that was, I think, some of the most dynamic lighting for the Christmas season. This project delivered $4.2 million of linkage funding towards affordable housing, and just over $800,000 in linkage funding to job training. In addition to some of the public realm improvements, there were a series of monetary contributions made. $75,000 to supporting planning, design, permitting, construction, and or maintenance needs for the improvements to Charles Gate Park. $75,000 to the Boston Parks and Recreation Department's Fund for Parks for programming and improvements to Symphony Park. $50,000 to the Boylston Street Improvement Fund for maintenance, improvements, and beautification efforts along Boylston Street. And $20,000 to the Commonwealth Avenue Mall Committee for costs associated with lighting of statues on the Commonwealth Avenue Mall. The second project is the Building A in Alston Yards near Boston Landing over in Brighton. This project created the Alston Community Green. It contributed $40,000 to the Parks Department. It's also making annual contributions to support a neighborhood shuttle that will travel to different parts of the neighborhood in collaboration with the Alston Brighton Transportation Management Association. And then there's actually, the project contributed $1.25 million to support people actually looking to buy homes in the Austin-Brighton area. I'm going to end my report by just providing a short summary of the approved projects tonight. There were 2 new development projects that were approved, totaling 33 new residential units, which were all income restricted. Of course, we've already described then the large 972 dorm beds that's part of the Pike Residence Hall. These projects will amount to 270,000 square foot of development that will represent approximately $260 million of private investment. When constructed, during construction, it will create 250 construction jobs, and that will also generate 125 indirect jobs as part of the project. That concludes my report for tonight, and thank you again.
Okay, thank you. And finally, I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I move that we adjourn our meeting.
I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.